All right, now tonight we're going to talk about cryonics. Now, the cryonics began in America in 1964 when Robert Ettinger, a professor of physics in Detroit, argued in his book, which was called The Prospect of Immortality, that freezing the body at the moment of clinical death could stop body cells degenerating. Now, let me explain how this process works. When a person dies, they're injected with drugs designed to keep the body in as normal a condition as long as is possible. The patient is at the same time placed on a heart-lung machine to continue oxygen and circulation. At this point, the patient is transferred to a unit where a fluid is pumped through all of the blood vessels. And here, the body is cooled while the blood is washed out and replaced with a protective solution. The solution is recirculated for hours until a large percentage of the body's water is replaced by the protective chemical. At the same time, the body's temperature is being steadily lowered. After the fluid is further cooled and frozen, the body is then wrapped in protective aluminum foil, like a sleeping bag, placed in a cryogenic tank, and it's covered with liquid nitrogen. The tank is then placed into suspension, and the patient is kept frozen by continued addition of liquid nitrogen. Now, there has been a lot of controversy over the process from religious leaders and other groups who seriously question cryonics morality. Now, Simon Carter is the secretary of the Cryonics Association of Australia. He's one of only 6 people who have signed up in this country to be frozen after death. He's a 22-year-old public servant. He's from Canberra. I'd like you to meet him, and we're going to discuss this strange subject. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Carter. Here. Hello, Simon. Is it when you tell people that you have volunteered or that you have been willing to go into this process of having your body frozen after death, do they look at you like you're sort of weird?
Of course. I mean, it is obviously a very new idea. We're pioneers. There are half a dozen of us in Australia, 150 worldwide. Of course, any new idea, you talk to people about it, you get a strange, why are you doing that? Why are you doing something new?
How long was this process with you before you made this final decision?
I have been thinking deeply about it, investigating it for the past 4 years. I've only recently signed on. In the course of my investigations, I've been over twice to the United States. I've met the people involved. They seem trustworthy to me. I think they know what they're doing. I have great confidence in them. I think ultimately they will be able to bring me back.
Okay, will you tell me, we've gone through what the procedure is, what they do to you physically in there to try and extend this lifetime, or whatever they call it. But what is the procedure to have this done to you? I mean, as far as finance, as far as paying for it is concerned, and maintaining it and so forth, what happens?
It is, of course, a very expensive operation. I, for instance, have a life insurance policy for 100,000 Australian dollars. Now, say I die, say by accident in a few weeks' time, right? They will fly a team of surgeons out from the United States. You're looking at a cost of some $10,000. They will suspend me. It's an expensive operation. You're looking at something like $15,000. They'll jet me back to the storage facility in San Francisco, near San Francisco. The remainder of the money will be placed in a trust fund. It'll be invested, and the interest generated will keep me maintained, I think, for centuries.
What protection or what security do you have against somebody you're ripping you off in this? I mean, some man taking this money and deciding to leave.
That's the obvious question.
How long a period, wait a minute, before we go any further, just a minute, I just realized something I'm neglecting here. How long a period of time are we talking about you being frozen?
My guess, and I can't foresee the future with 100% accuracy, is of the order of a few centuries. I'd say 200-300 years. Rather than several decades or several thousand years. But the human body in cryonic suspension does not rot. All reactions are stopped.
Well, wait a minute. Well, okay, all right. I will grant you that maybe it doesn't rot when I say it, but I mean, you don't know what's going to happen to it when they uncover it. I don't know, you don't even know who's going to be around in 200 years to uncover it.
Okay, we have We have the commercial organization TransTime, which actually carries out the operation and maintenance. We have a Guardian Society, a non-profit society. This society consists of people who themselves wish to be frozen. They're not going to destroy their society. They're going to pass it on to people who themselves intend to be frozen. I think that's our best guarantee. There's no other way.
But you don't really, do you really believe that you have a guarantee that in 200 years they're going to
Not
say,
a
oh, it's
guarantee.
time for Simon, we better get him out of here? Huh?
Not a guarantee.
No.
For sure, not a guarantee.
What about an electrical failure? With my luck, there'd be an electrical failure. I'd end up in a bucket somewhere or something. You know?
I can tell you're a pessimist.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just don't. It isn't so much that I'm a pessimist. It's when there's so many people involved, I begin to become concerned about whether they're not going to look at those cylinders and say, hey, look, we got the money. What do you want to bring these guys to life
These
for?
cylinders aren't connected to the electrical supply.
They're not?
They're not.
Ah.
No. They're like gigantic thermos flasks. They are topped up because there is some boil off, of course. Regularly, people check the levels of liquid nitrogen and top it up. They're checked very regularly, and alarm systems are installed on the capsules in case anything goes
Well,
wrong.
how do you think you'd adjust to a life 200 years from now?
I think it would be fun to try. I think it would be preferable to death, oblivion, not being around anymore.
But let me ask you a question. Supposing you live to be 70 years old, and you suffer from rheumatoid arthritis, and well, I'm just giving you an example, and it's very difficult for you. I mean, why would you want to be frozen and come back 200 years later with rheumatoid arthritis?
I mean, you know, I think that 200 years hence, if they have the ability to bring me back, they'll have the ability to cure rheumatoid arthritis.
So this is really basically a gamble on your part. You're saying, I'm willing to invest this money because the other alternatives
Invest.
are...
That's the word.
Invest.
I've spent 4 years looking at it. I don't think it's a reckless gamble. To me, it is an investment.
Well, the other alternatives, of course, are that they cremate you and you'll end up on somebody's shelf for 200 years, sitting there, going, oh, that's Uncle Fred in a jar. Or they bury you in a box and who knows what happens to you then. So you're saying at least...
Pretty poor treatment. I mean, you know, if you are suspended, there is a chance you will come back. If you are buried, if you are cremated, there's no chance. My money is no good to me when I'm dead. I think it is the best purpose to which it can be put is to put in suspension.
Freeze you and then suspend you, yeah. Have they performed experiments with human beings in this area? I mean, we know about animals. I'm about to show them something with animals.
Quite
but
a fascinating tape it is,
Yeah.
the animal one. No, but then they do experiments on animals, and this is regarded like they test new drugs on animals before they test them on humans.
Well, what about humans, though? I mean, have there been any humans that have been frozen and brought back to life?
No.
No.
Not yet. Though in a certain operation, the heart bypass operation, the human body is cooled to a low temperature, certainly not freezing, for periods of up to half an hour while they perform the operation.
But they're not clinically dead.
That's actually very vague at that point.
As to whether they are.
I wouldn't like to say. Maybe we should have a surgeon here to say.
All right. Maybe you should. You're the one's going to be frozen. I don't care. Well, let me show you first. I have to show you this here. This is an experiment that they did on animals here. And they used a hamster. And we just want to show you what they proved that they can do with this process. Now, we've shortened this down here. There the animal is in a cooling cylinder where they're trying to slow down the blood flow process. And then they keep cooling it and keep doing it until the animal is frozen. You can see that there. And this lady is pumping air through it to keep whatever the blood and things flowing through it. Now, there's the animal. Now, that animal there is frozen and is clinically dead. The electrodes they have attached to it are giving them a reading on the animal's reaction. And what they did was you must remember that this freezing process has to be done very slowly. Simon will tell us why in a moment. But we've speeded up this film. This film lasts about 3.5 or 4 minutes, but there you are. Now, that hamster was frozen and was dead and is back to life. What kind of shape he's in now, I don't know, because you can't ask him, you know. But at least life signs and vitality have come back in that hamster that actually was frozen.
To some extent, hamsters can't display much intelligence. They can learn mazes. They can do simple things. Some experiments that TransTime have done
Yeah.
indicate that memory has been retained.
Well, let me ask you two questions of what I think are social importance, okay? The first question being, from religious people, they talk about what happens to your soul. Well, you're obviously not a religious man.
No, but I don't see a barrier. There have been religious people involved.
Yeah.
They argue along the lines, God has given me this gift of life. If cryonic suspension gives me life back, that will be just another miracle of God.
But if you're clinically dead, isn't your soul supposed to leave your body?
Well, I don't know. People seem very vague about the soul.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about the soul. I don't believe in it myself.
Yeah.
I'll agree that very complex biochemical reactions go on in my brain and my body. But whether that is a soul is... I don't think so.
Well, all right, then one other question. Let's say a young man is 25 years old, and he looks around and he said, I don't like this anymore. I don't care about this place. I don't like the way it's happening. I think it'll be a better life 150 years from now, so I want to have myself frozen now. What happens then?
I can't see why. The motivation behind cryonics is that life is basically good to live, despite its problems.
Yeah.
Why should anyone want to do this?
Well, I mean, I'm hypothetically saying if someone, well, my reason being that, going back to what I talked to you about before, if you're 70 years old and you die and you wake up and you're 70 years old, what good is that? But if you're 25 and you wait 150 years, I mean, you've got a whole lifetime in front of you 150 years from now.
Well, I don't know. I haven't met anybody who wants to do that. I don't.
You don't want to?
No, I don't want to do that.
You'd rather live a full life?
I want to go on living as
well,
long
what
as
if someone
possible.
did want to do that, though? Could they be frozen then?
That, by today's legal standards, that would be murder. A frozen person is regarded as being dead. Full stop.
Yeah, but if that's the case, and a frozen person is legally dead, then there's no chance for you to come back. If they bring you
No,
back
I
to
think
life
you're getting
after
confused. I mean, a legal definition is not a biochemical. It's not a biological definition. If our technology improves, and we can bring back a frozen person, it doesn't matter what the law back in 1981 decided.
Oh. But I'm saying he's not dead, though. If he's frozen, he's not dead, is he? I mean, when you're frozen...
I don't think so.
You
But
don't think so?
I operate in 20th century Australia.
Right,
and
okay.
what the law of 20th century Australia says is that a frozen person is a dead person.
Right.
Doesn't matter what happens in the future,
So once the old icicles hang off your nostrils, that's it, right? Yeah.
according to the law.
Right, okay. And how much would it cost a person if they wanted to do this?
Well, I told you, I have a policy for $100,000. I think you'd need a minimum of something like, what, $65,000.
And if an Australian person wanted to do this...
They
where-
have to sign up.
Yeah, but there's
with
no place here for
TransTime.
them to store them. Do they have to go to America?
Yes, it would have to be.
They put you in a cylinder and travel you to America?
Of course, most people die with some warning of their death.
Right.
This, many people seem surprised, but over 80% of people get at least a week's warning of their death.
But you'd
So
still
we
have...
could get them to a nursing home over in California, say,
In California?
and have TransTime personnel standing by, ready, as soon as the doctor signs a legal death certificate.
If I were you, I wouldn't see America any other way. Anyway, thank you for coming in and talking with us, will you? We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Hang in there. Thank you.